there was a fight in the whole community, whole committee.
About OAuth 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get back to after that. So, Django REST framework also gives you, out of the box, gives you a way to navigate and your API. For example, as I said, your developer will be your customer in this case. So you want to give them documentation, you want to give them things to have them understand what your API does. So it's out of the box. Will give you a similar control panel that will enable you to add to the API and browse it and see the endpoints and see what verbs it will accept. For example, here it's only it accepts all get, post, input. So now I want to expand on this using you remember APIG. The team, they have put a good documentation about API design, so I will use the same documentation to explain this. Of course, there are two schools of thought when it comes to API. Some people want to adhere strictly to REST principles, and everything has to be verbs and nouns, and you can't deviate a lot, and you only have it like expose the models, and that's it. And some people want to incorporate a lot of logic inside the API itself. So it's a debate, but you can do what's important or what fits your use case better. It's if you want to be pragmatic and do a lot of logic, it will be good for the developer. For example, if you want to download, let's say, tweets and then sort them and then group them somehow. Some people design their API in a way that it just gives you the tweets and you do everything on the client. Say if you have a mobile application and you're on a cellular network, every HTTP request will cost you some time to instantiate and to take, so it's not going to be a good experience. If you design your API with the end developer and the application in mind, you can group some of the logic there and give him something useful, group together, and it will be a much better experience. There are here some design samples, but and the application or the example they're using is of dogs. If you want to do application that deals with them, you can have all sorts of endpoints that are very specific, or you can have something like only what's useful is to have this is a heuristic that will give you infinite endpoints, and you can never have enough of them, and it's not going to be a very useful case. So you want to keep it simple, and you only need 2 base URLs per resource. Let's say
this is the use case for REST.
This is the REST, yeah.
This is the
use case for REST, but even that, if you want to add some logic to it, you can include it within it. So, so say if you want to, let's say you have an API of Twitter users, and you can access them. You will have /user or users and his details. But you can also have among his details included the number of followers and the number of tweets he has already calculated within the endpoint. So a very strict REST application will be I just give you his ID, and if you want, you can traverse the users and see see that and calculate this on your own. So it should be a balance between them. So your endpoint should look, if you want to deal, let's say with sorry about the example, with those you will have this endpoint, and this endpoint should list all. You will be able to list all of them by getting this endpoint. And if you want to add, you can also post to this endpoint, so you will add it to the collection. And if you want to deal with a single element, you will access it by ID. So it's the noun and then the ID of the element, and you can use these verbs: post, get, and put and delete. And this will give you the CRUD operation. So the main collection, if you post to it, it should create a single instance. If you get from it, it will get you the list of elements. If you put, it can bulk update, and if you delete, it will delete everything. And a single element, if you can't post to it, and if you get it, it will show you all the details you need from it. And if you want to put, if it exists, it will update it. If not, it will raise an error. And delete will delete that single instance alone. So these are some use case examples from Foursquare, Groupon, and Zappos about their endpoints. It's always better to use nouns better than verbs. And the application should be concrete. It shouldn't be very abstract. And this is for association. If you want to have collections of
related items.
Let's say related items. So the owners with this ID, he has a list of
the idea is that /dogs always returns the same thing. Okay, and if you want to filter it, whatever you put behind it is what makes the difference. So the idea is either the verb and the pre of the endpoint is what REST is all about. If you notice here, it's always /dogs.
Yeah.
So when you say get, it's going to get the dogs still of that owner.
Of that owner.
Yeah.
And if you post, it's going to post the dogs to that owner.
Yeah, it will add it to
But the /dogs doesn't change. That's the whole point. The URL should not change. The endpoint shouldn't change. That's why they say like plural versus singular, concrete versus abstract, noun versus. This is why they are, because it sounds like, okay, we're not in an English class, but this is why it is. So that URLs make sense.
So the base is always solid if it's.
Because from reading it, you can say that /dogs is all going to return you dogs. That's one of the reasons why.
And of course, if there is complex variations, you just sweep it under the verb itself. So if you want to sweep it under the question mark. So if it gets more complex than that, you want dogs with a certain color and a certain location, you just add it as a get parameter to the endpoint, and you will have your logic parse and filter according to that, while still keeping the endpoint simple. It's just dogs. You don't need to have another endpoints for dog types or dogs by type.
So you filter the dogs itself, you filter the base.
You can do all sorts of logic while still, because you're conceptually dealing with dogs. So
but from an API,
pagination is part of that.
Yeah, pagination. Yeah, you also add it. No need to include it. There is a slide about this.
Very important, because usually you have
so
you can't get it all in one single shot.
Yeah.
who is this guy who's sleeping all the time?
He's a cool man.
He's a good programmer.
So what about errors? You should, if he's trying to access your endpoint with certain and produces an error, you have to give him helpful time. Battery. Okay.
But you have time.
Yes.
You have time.
Just 1 second. I will give you.
I will pause it.